One of the most famous automotive industry websites in the world slammed Stellantis. They said this: the balance sheet of the 14 brand group Stellantis in 2024 is utterly disastrous. Almost all key figures from all regions of the world show a significant minus. The former world champion in terms of margins has become a basket case for restructuring this year. Net profit shrank by 70% to 5.5 billion euros in 2024, and the numbers are quite shocking. Guys, sorry about the mess. Curtains on the back seat there. I'm just putting them up, and having them there is forcing me to do the work amidst many other things I have on my plate right now. Anyhow, Stellantis, their profits have fallen drastically, and I mean, things are looking pretty bad for the company. To be fair, the vultures are circling right now. Stellantis are saying that they are going to be forced to sell off some of their brands. Who's going to go? Alfa Romeo could go. I mean, you could also be seeing the demise, potentially even Maserati. I know the Chinese have already made offers for numerous car brands from the Stellantis group. Very likely one of those offers will be accepted within the next 6 months, particularly if Stellantis sales continue to fall at this rapid pace and profits continue to shrink at what is a scary, scary pace. Don't get me wrong, this is not just Stellantis facing this situation. Essentially, Porsche, they're in the same situation. Mercedes-Benz are in the same situation. The Volkswagen Group, they're in the same situation. But here are the details. Here's what's going on at Stellantis. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. Great to have you with us. In 2024, Stellantis profits fell by a staggering 70%. The company is saying, don't worry, investors, everything's going to be fine. But, that's clearly not the case at all. One of the brands that is struggling the worst under the Stellantis company is the iconic Jeep brand from the United States. Jeep parent company Stellantis actually recorded a stunning profit drop. And the truth is, I mean, things are not going to look any better anytime soon. Reported net profit was down by 9.14 billion Australian dollars, which is around about nearly 6 billion US dollars. Net revenues were down by a staggering 160 billion. $160 billion. I mean, I'm reading this and I'm thinking to myself, is that a real number? Net revenues down $160 billion. So the company is blaming temporary gaps in product offerings, as well as now complete inventory reduction initiatives. So inventory reduction and temporary gaps in product offerings are the issues here for 70% fall in profitability. Very exclusive event here in Newcastle. Saturday, the 15th of March from 3 to 5 p.m. I'll be speaking here with just a couple of other speakers. Very small event. So you can meet me in person. You can actually have a look at my EV as well, the Xpeng G6. Test that out. I'll put a link in the description below to the event. I believe that the tickets will probably sell out very, very quickly. So if you're from Sydney, from Brisbane, from Newcastle, make sure you click on that link as quickly as possible to get in. I think there's only around 30 tickets left at this point in time. I'll put that link in the description and I'll see you there. Wow, this is some interesting claims. The big issue that I see here is that Stellantis do not want to recognize what the real problems are. And they're clearly not even aware of them if that's what they think are the reasons. One other key thing that Stellantis blamed many times last year were dealerships. They said dealerships were often at fault and it was simply their lack of ability to sell the cars. Unfortunately, what that means is dealerships, they felt targeted. And the truth is that dealerships, I don't believe, weren't trying to sell the cars. I mean, think about it. A lot of the profit coming to dealerships is simply based on how many cars they can sell. They're very much incentivized to sell the cars. Stellantis, of course, is a huge company. They own the brands Jeep, Ram, Chrysler, Citroën from France and Peugeot, Italy's Fiat, Abarth, Alfa Romeo and Maserati. And of course, they own a 50% of China's Leapmotor. Well, 50% of a joint venture with Leapmotor anyway. In a statement, Chairman John Elkann seemed to, he basically ignored the massive losses. He said, don't worry, the future of the company is great because its electric division is doing well. Now, what electric division of Stellantis is doing well? Well, primarily Leapmotor is, which is, of course, the Chinese one. While 2024 was a year of stark contrast for the company, with results falling short of our potential, we achieved important strategic milestones. Now, when I first heard this, I went, strategic milestones? All right, what are you going to say here? Interesting. Notably, we began the rollout of new multi-energy platforms and products, which continues in 2025, started production of EV batteries through our joint ventures, and launched the Leapmotor International Partnership. We are firmly focused on gaining market share and improving financial performance as 2025 progresses. Now, Stellantis are saying that they're making batteries through their joint ventures. Very small amount of batteries. I actually don't think that's necessarily the best move to take. I think they're probably better off just saving their coin and trying to invest it in making better cars. Let someone else do the batteries. That's not what Stellantis is actually good at. The massive car manufacturer has had a terrible 2024. Its chief executive, Carlos Tavares, stepped down after huge pressure from dealerships and from executives in the company. And really, part of this was the battle that Jeep had with dealerships, where dealerships were basically crying out to Stellantis saying, we need help, we need better products, we need this and that. And the CEO blamed the dealerships, and it became a tit for tat, became very public, which really looked bad. I mean, it's not going to encourage anyone to say, oh, wow, everything's great at Stellantis, I'm going to go buy a Jeep now because dealerships are obviously doing well, when they're saying the opposite. A letter published by Jeep's dealer council in the US accused Tavares of overseeing the rapid degradation of our iconic American brands as the company pushed up prices and deleted popular models, including V8-powered versions of the Grand Cherokee. And there were politicians in America, senators, saying that America should take back some of these brands from Stellantis. Take Jeep back, take Chrysler back. Stellantis are driving them into the ground. And it wasn't just one politician. Numerous politicians were calling for this to happen. They still are. The same goes for Australia. Stellantis brands here in Australia have completely tanked, down 77% for Alfa Romeo. In fact, down 78% in 2024. Then if you look at, say, Citroën, they were down 87%. This is versus 10 years ago. But anyhow, the point is the demise of the brands completely in Australia really gives you an illustration of what's happened elsewhere as well. Dodge down at 99.5%. The brand used to be pretty popular here, not at all anymore. Fiat down 91%. Jeep down 91.6%. Jeep was the most popular Stellantis brand here in Australia. Its sales have just collapsed from 25,000 in 2014 to 2024, 2,000. 91.6% fall. Maserati sales have gone from 336 to 329. Maserati's doing well in Australia. Then you've got Opel. They've pulled out completely, 746 to 0. Peugeot, 3,702 to 1,698, down 54%. Total, down 80% here in Australia. In the same breath, you can say, well, the same things happened in China. Jeep, they basically declared bankruptcy in China. They left China. And obviously none of these brands are doing well in China at all. All of them have either not done well there or are doing worse, much worse than they were a few years ago. Stellantis' presence in Australia is divided between distributors here, but to be honest, no one's really buying those brands anymore. So I think there's no point talking about how they're going in Australia, but how they're going elsewhere. Well, Stellantis US sales actually collapsed by 15% in 2024. 15% in 2024. So not a huge number, but considering it's on the back of declines in previous years, well, yeah, not great. In America, vehicles in dealer stock dropped 20% to 304,000. So that's even more than their targeted reduction. Basically, dealerships were saying, we have too many cars, we've got nowhere to store them. So they've actually cut down on inventory. They wanted to cut down to 330,000. They've cut down to 304,000. Stellantis noted that they have begun their generational product portfolio transition, bunch of marketing speak, as they've launched new vehicles on the STLA Medium and STLA Large platforms. These haven't gone that well, to be honest. There's huge discounts on the Dodge Charger Daytona, the Jeep Wagoneer S. These cars are actually pretty good. They're just too expensive. Basically Stellantis is saying, well, yeah, we know they're expensive, but otherwise, what happens if we don't charge this much? We don't make a profit. Our profits fell by 70%. What do you expect us to do? They're between a rock and a hard place. There's really nothing they can do here. Acting CEO John Elkann said, 2024 was a year of stark contrasts. And he's certainly right about that. So what's happening for Stellantis? What's happening for Jeep? Well, the company mentioned the Jeep Cherokee replacement. Uh, Apparently, they might actually drop and cancel the Cherokee brand. The Jeep Recon is due later this year. It was tested in a Super Bowl ad commercial, which cost Stellantis millions of dollars, as if they've got millions of dollars to spare on a Super Bowl commercial. What a waste of money that was. That even had Harrison Ford in it. So that ad would have cost them at least $20 million. Wow. Apparently, the new Recon will look similar to have a similar platform to the Wagoneer S and have a dual motor all-wheel drive with 600 horsepower, 447 kilowatt, and 836 newton meters of torque. But that is a heavy platform, so it's going to be a heavy car. I'm not convinced owners will want to buy that. With being expensive and heavy, that may turn some buyers off, considering it's meant to be a full driving car, off-roading vehicle. Stellantis mentioned that there will be Alfa Romeo, Chrysler, and Maserati vehicles based on the STLA large platform, but no one knows when they're coming, what they're going to be, The company says 2025 revenues will climb, but they have headwinds, including tariffs, regulations, increasing competition. They're referencing China, they're referencing Europe, they're referencing the United States. Really, Stellantis is struggling in all three of the big markets. Europe, the US, and China represent about nearly 80% of worldwide car sales. And Stellantis are struggling in all of those markets. I don't see that changing anytime soon, unfortunately for them. I do believe there will be a fire sale. When I say a fire sale, they will sell off some of these brands to the highest bidder. Maserati will be extremely valuable. I can see that selling. They could potentially get a couple of billion for that. That's most likely going to happen, considering that division of the business is losing a lot of money.